What is up, guys? Pittsburgh White Schwartz back again with another Rush rundown for you. This time we're going to talk about Persona 5 in the English competitive metagame. This will be a quick, concise overview of Persona's strengths, weaknesses, and notable cards that you'll need to know in order to effectively play into it, all in 10 minutes or less. So while these videos aren't meant to be totally comprehensive, we've included a lot of information in this video about Persona, so feel free to pause if we're moving too fast. Alright, let's jump right into it. So the general strategy of Persona, the deck consists primarily of Persona 5 cards with a battering of potential tech from Persona 4, but the set has the ability to generate free marker compression with its level 1 board, while also maintaining a very strong compression and deck manipulation through the calling card event. Additionally, the endgame is, should they get there with enough stock and resources in hand, the Joker finisher, even though it's climaxless, has proven to be one of the strongest cards in the game when it pops off. Against Persona, you do need to be concerned at both level 1 and level 3. They're looking to get reverses, unless of course there is a build that runs the Morgana combo at level 1 that does not need a reverse. But most builds that you'll likely run into are looking to get reverses at both level 1 and level 3. So moving on to our first card here. These two Jokers work as a pair. When Persona plays one, they can select the other one from their waiting room, put it underneath the one that was played as a marker. Each one of them is strong against a certain pair of colors. This one that's large here is strong against green and red characters. It sits at 7k when the character across from it is one of those colors. And the other one is strong against blue or yellow characters, and they can switch at will at the start of the Persona player's climax step. So this allows Persona very powerful, very strong matchups against decks that are specifically these colors or some combination of these colors, while also allowing the Persona player to compress via markers and make their future decks even better. These things also get decently large with backup, especially since the Brainstorm in Persona also gives power on act ability use, which includes backups. On to the next card here. Arguably the MVP of Persona is this event, this calling card. It's a Mill 4 event that allows you to take a character, bounces cost 0 or lower characters, and forces your opponent to put a card from their hand face down into their memory and draw a card. So while it minorly inconveniences the Persona player's opponent's hand, the main use of this card is to rush through your deck, especially in conjunction with the Ryuji level 0 there, which on play ditches a card and bonds back this event from the waiting room. This combination of cards with the Ryuji allows the Persona player to loop this event repeatedly, get through their deck, and manipulate it to a state that they are comfortable with. The next card here is the big boy of Persona, the Joker finisher himself, the Powerhouse, the only reason that this set sees play. Heals on play and sits pretty large at 11k. This card is one that you are going to need to look out for reverses against, particularly because this card's effect requires that the Persona player reverse or remove your entire front row in some capacity in order to get this effect off. However, if they do, they get to flip up the top 3 cards of their deck and burn you for the levels of the cards revealed. Persona runs a few cards that allow the Persona player to manipulate the top card of their deck to get this effect to work properly. However, a lot of the time it does end up being luck of the draw. Onto the next card here, some Persona decks, it will be very obvious when your opponent is playing this card as they'll be running blue in their deck. Not a lot of Persona decks do. However, this card is worth acknowledging as it gives global power and acts as a potential money counter for Persona by discarding the climax that Futaba here combos with. So while this card is not run in majority of Persona decks, the fact that they have access to both this global power buff and this money counter on the same card, as well as a damage scry, is worth noting. If you see your opponent running blue, they are most likely playing this card. The last card of note here is a arguably spicy tech card that you won't see in every deck, but it is worth keeping in mind just in case your opponent is playing it. This card allows your opponent to put all of their thief characters underneath this as markers and run it to any position of the stage, the start of the opponent's main phase. This allows Persona to dodge out of the way of reverse combos or clock shoot combos like Konosuba. So if you're playing anything that is looking to reverse or looking to clock shoot or has some form of board interaction, definitely keep an eye out for this card when you're playing against Persona. The counters that Persona runs, they have access to a 2k counter and this 3k Joker counter. Those are the primary counters that you'll see. Occasionally Persona will also run this 2500 power Futaba counter. That's a free fresh counter, which gives them even better manipulation over their deck state by allowing them to free fresh on demand. This Naoto backup is a 3k backup only when it's being used for antagonist characters, which is something to consider when playing against Persona, since the marker combo at level 1 the marker jokers are protagonists. And lastly, I wouldn't worry about this too much, but Persona does have access to an anti-change. It's a pay 3 waiting room anti-change. While not all that powerful, it is something to keep in mind that the set does have access to. As far as bombs and clears are concerned, most decks will play this Ryuji. Gets up to 13k and just swings in against level 3s. The set also does have access to this 1/1 Adachi, which is simply a anti-change bomb. It's a reverse anti-change bomb. So if your opponent's character is a higher level than the opponent's current level, this simply bombs in and reverses the character. Again, this card isn't widely played, but it is something that Persona has access to, something to keep in mind. Common builds of the set, Persona will almost always play this 2/1 early play Joker. It early plays with a full field at level 1, combos with the Wind, into either the On combo or the Ryuji combo at level 3. More often you'll see the Ryuji, simply due to the fact that the Ryuji On Climax combo bounces opponents' characters, enabling the level 3 Joker finisher's effect even further. Something to note is that Persona also does have access to an on attack plus in combo off of gate at level 1, so you may sometimes see that over this Joker. So in conclusion, Persona does not have access to a Riki and can be level locked fairly easily, unfortunately. Most decks will play the Ryuji bomb over any other form of removal or clear, even though they do have access to both an anti-change backup and an anti-change bomb. Majority of the time, Persona will play the Joker 2/1 Wind into the Ryuji Stock Soul simply due to the interaction that it has with the Joker level 3 finisher. The most valuable card or combo of cards in this set's case is the calling card, which allows Persona to manipulate their deck state to however they like at any point, in combination with the Ryuji that bonds to the calling card. As I've mentioned, the set is strong at consistently having a fairly compressed deck state between board compression with the markers and milling through their deck to a state that they're comfortable with calling card. The set is fairly weak at dealing with cost bombs in general. Losing their wall jokers at level 1 is fairly crippling to Persona 5, or any way to deny reverse and stop the Joker level 3 from popping off, completely cripple the set. You'll see Persona some of the time at major events. A lot of people sleep on this set a little bit, so you don't see it very often, but when you do, it is a potentially threatening set that you need to keep in mind. And that is basically Persona 5 in a nutshell. If you like this video, be sure to drop us a like and a comment to let us know how we did. That really helps us out. And we'll be releasing more Rush Rundowns in the future on Mondays and Wednesdays, along with our usual deck techs on Fridays. Along with all of these links on the end card here, we are also going to drop a link to example deck lists for this set in the description below, so that you can see more in-depth examples of what to expect if you play against this set in a shop challenge or regional environment. And with that, I think we are done. Pittsburgh White Schwartz signing off. We'll see you in the next video.